2:02 PM, roll call, please.
Mark Myers,
Present.
Brian Baird,
Here.
Kevin Walls, Ron West,
Present.
Susie Quell, David Lexi,
Here.
John Ditmars. Sir, we have a quorum. And I have not heard from the other two. I knew that Commissioner Walls would not be here today. I am unaware of anyone coming in on Zoom, but that doesn't mean that they won't.
Shay is supposed to come in.
Oh, Shay, we do have the board member now. We do have a person that's going to speak later. That will be coming on. Okay.
Do you have anybody on Zoom? Do you see right now?
Just Shay.
No,
Just
Shay.
All right. This is public comment.
Yes, that's to make sure that we get everybody the ability to speak before things, so.
Anybody from the public want to speak now? Forever hold your peace.
All hearts and minds free and clear?
There we go. All right. Approval of minutes. I think everybody received the September 9th, 2024 minutes electronically. Do we have any additions or corrections?
Okay.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Treasurer's report. Good.
I'll just talk really loud.
Yeah, please.
There we go.
We are looking for approval for the invoices and check register for September 10th of 2024 through November 15th of 2024. What came out of the bond fund was a total of $57,638 and 1 penny. And then the general fund was $124,061.37 for a total of $181,699.38.
Glad you point out. I was going to point out on this sheet that it has missed the $825.33 invoice for Lancer Associates. Because you're showing a total of $56,812.68 here. But you're right, it is $57,638.81.
You didn't
That's
change
Shay.
that part.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Unless there's a correction, I got the wrong one, that could be.
No, we can explain what happened. So we're having a lot of, I don't know, what's the word? Questions about Lancer's invoices, I guess is the best way to put it. And so we had to go in and manually update some of the invoices. So when we went to go print the general ledger information, it's generally for the date, that would coincide with our check register. However, because this is just general ledger and not the check register, we had to go in and physically add in the 8/1/24 invoice to this general ledger bond fund invoices paid. And so when Carla added the 825.33, because she manually did it, she did not add the 56. She didn't add it to 56,812.68. So that invoice was actually from 8/1 that just got paid within the checks. So that's why it is represented here, but unfortunately this number down at the bottom is incorrect. So we apologize, but it is all accounted for under the check.
I just don't want you to think you had more money than you could be.
No, we were making sure we didn't have less. Honestly, we were like, oh, we had to go bring it back to the front. We got that part.
Yeah, other bad questions.
You have a motion to approve?
I do.
Great.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I didn't even tell you.
I don't know. I don't remember what this was. I was thinking an elf was going to walk over to
Shay?
Hi, making sure you were there. Okay, hi everybody. I'm Shay Hartley with the Advisory Committee. I was here a couple months ago with you guys, I think, or at least online. Uh, um, we have our next meeting tomorrow evening as the CAC. So we've got that on my immediate plans, and as well, I know that we've been getting ready for and excited for the new building going in. It seems like there's going to be a tremendous amount of collaboration with different entities throughout the county, and even up into with the state as well, depending on the activities and how the building is going to be created and structured internally, not the actual building. The other part I know that the CAC has been working with, it's been a couple months now, but the Talks Box and shredding events that we've had, there's been individuals that have helped with that. And so always wanting to be there and help the community that we work in and live in. And so it's nice to have that support for us, and then as well for what we do. That's all I got. Do you have any questions?
Don't have any questions? Well, thank you. All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Shay.
Jesse?
Well, let me start off by actually just tagging on to what she was speaking about. We'll jump right into new programs, and then I'll get back to the budget. Saturday was our last shredding, paint recycling, and Talks Box Saturday. We did not see as many people as we generally do. A little surprising, but then it is later in the month, so a lot of people have already started their travels for the holidays, or they're thinking about those things. That's kind of one of the reasons why we had initially pushed it up this year with the way the calendars fell. It didn't work out, but always good. We always have that steady line for a good hour and a half. It's just that most days we're still, 11:55 and people are still running us down. And we slowed way down at about 10:30 on Saturday, which is all good. And I will get my numbers to be able to give, of course, by the end of the year. Generally, they give them to me in the next week or two. We do intend to, every time we have a shredding event going forward, that we will incorporate the latex paint recycling, so that hopefully people will, be aware to look out for that. It's, obviously there's lots of questions when people just show up. Generally, they have, 30, 40, 50 cans that have just been sitting around their home. So it is something good. We do enjoy the fact that we can work with a company straight out of Ohio that does turn this material over into usable paint. They've really been expanding their market. They have different colors. It is what I'm hoping to utilize some of our paint within the new facility. Some of the programs that we do, we will be able to use it. And if you do ever go to the Habitat for Humanity Restore, it is the paint that they use at the Restore. It's the Ecotone paint. So when you do give your latex paint for recycling, and it is viable, sometimes we get some that isn't able to be reused, but for the most part, we do our best to ensure that it can be all reused. And that is actually the paint that you are purchasing when you make that purchase. So we do love that program. The shredding is always, of course, a huge program for us. And so we will continue with that. The only difference will be, obviously, that when we move into our new building, we will no longer need a Talks Box Saturday, because any Saturday that the facility is open, we will be taking the HHW from our residents. So it will truly just be a shredding and latex day Saturday when we have those going forward. We have not set up our dates for 2025 for obvious reasons. We will probably not have a spring date because we generally have them in April, and that's when we will most likely be moving. So we will probably only have 2 events next year. But we will look at that as the calendar goes forward and see how things are. Sometimes we happen to have one at the end of March, but it really just depends too on how school schedules go, because if everybody's on spring break, then most people are out of town, so it doesn't really work out that way. So back to the budget and excess levy appeal. The budget went through as proposed with the county council. We did get support for the excess levy appeal through the council. I, of course, had to answer questions from the state. I will tell you that the questions, in my opinion, were very lawyerly, sorry, Lynn, in the sense of,
That's a good word.
yeah. In the sense of the fact that it was a legal person asking about financial matters and not truly understanding the scope of what we do. So there was a question as to, of course, the money that we have in our budget. And I explained that that money that is not only set aside, we do not have a rainy day fund. So all of our money is one account. So basically that rainy day fund is what helps us to fund our operating budget. But on top of that, also has taken us 33 years to build just enough to get 1 year worth of operating budget. So I'm hoping that once I explain that this isn't like we hold on to this money and that we get it every year and, we move forward with it. I've also pointed out that if you look at our budget since the 1% cap has gone into play, we actually, I believe the max we have ever rolled over, except for the COVID year, of course, was $11,000. So we very much budget what we bring in. And so I do hope, and I explained the cost of just one storm that hit 3 subdivisions, and that the county fully had to fit that bill. And then I did the math to show them how long it would take to just get that money back. So I'm hoping that with all of the information that I gather, we will see that excess levy appeal be supported, but we never know. You'll know at the same time that I know, I'm sure. So we shall see. But I was a little bit annoyed, annoyed at the question, just because I thought, well, that doesn't really, if you look at my budget, you can see how that doesn't even really make sense, which, so we did defend that. I did run it by Jeff Peters. So as he's the person that helps out with that piece when it comes to our budgets and so forth. And so he handled that for us, and we'll see what happens. We do have a few new programs that are coming up. We're in the process of. We put out pumpkin composting this year. We are collecting pumpkins at the recycling district. Anybody can bring those. It was my hope to actually work with a local farmer in this, but when I reached out to Purdue Extension, they didn't have that list of people that were available. So one of the things I've been doing this month is creating a list of main farmers that we'll be able to reach out to next year, so that we can maybe collect the pumpkins and bring them directly to them in our container. Now we are collecting the pumpkins and they will go back to commercial compost with Caldwell's out of Shelby County, the same company that we are hoping to utilize when we actually move into the new facility to provide food waste composting at the district. So it's just kind of a good show. I will tell you that it has gotten a great reception. People are super excited about it. Christian had brought up pumpkin chunkin, and I'm like, oh my gosh, next year we are so doing that. So we'll have everybody out. We'll get the board to get some rotten pumpkins and chuck them into the containers. But it has been great. We're also doing political signs, and we saw a lot of those because there were several storms, especially wind storms during the time in which those signs were out. So a lot of those signs can't be safe. And so we have been helping out with political sign recycling as well. So some good programs that obviously won't garner a huge response, but have a very good positive impact and reception from the public. We are also working with the health department to get the tire recycling grant. And I believe I mentioned last year that the state, in their infinite wisdom, has been amazing in gathering money to give back for tire recycling. However, they only are distributing it to solid waste districts, which doesn't really make a lot of sense because we have educated the public on how to return tires and how to handle tires, and have been doing this for, again, 35, 40 years. And so I reached out to both the highway department and the health department to see if they would like me to obtain the dollars, because I can in turn shuffle them forward, and they have 18 months to utilize it. So Betsy and I are going to work together on a program for collection, and that may free up her with doing some of the things for tires that maybe are very individual that we wouldn't be able to utilize that money for. So we're pretty excited about that opportunity. Why let those dollars good waste, we might as well put them to good use within our county. And we also have the opportunity going forward if this continues. If you are a city or a town and you were to, establish a program where you did collection, and you did a one-time collection or something and say that costs $3,000, we could shuffle that money that way too. I mean, we could sparse it out and see. But right now, hopefully we'll have one major collection sometime next year. The funds take forever to get dispersed, as with most grants. So I believe it's all due by February, and then I think by summer you see the money. 10,000. So yeah.
Would that buy you a car grinder, or you can grind them up into pellets?
But
There's a market for those, there was.
In the playgrounds.
So,
yes, well, but then there's also laws about holding on to them and doing different things. They have really cracked down on tires, which is why they're doing these programs. And I commend the programs. I just don't necessarily commend the fact that solid waste districts need to go after the funds, because there's probably other, better ways to disseminate those funds. So, but I'm happy to do it, and so we'll work together and get that done. And again, for the wrap-up events for the year, that was my general information about what we did this past Saturday. We will have all those numbers together. I think I mentioned that when we did the program in August, it was huge. It was the biggest August we've seen. So I'm also not surprised that we were as busy in November, because we've never seen that many people come through in an August at a paper shredding event. So, and we do also, we really do support, Johnson County Library has tried to implement some shredding programs with sheriffs too, and we really do advocate for them and utilizing that so that maybe, it's a different time or a different place than what we have available in case somebody isn't there. So, we have kind of spread the wealth in that as well. So it works out. It's all good. And if you look in front of you, you will see the holiday hours. Did you put this in there? Yeah. I do just want to, I always like to make sure that you're informed. We do add additional hours to our days during the holidays just because of how things fall. So we don't do our regular Thursdays. We'll stay open from 8 to 4:30. We've added the Wednesday before. We would normally have an 11 to 6. Wednesday for Thanksgiving, we would normally have 11 to 6. We're going to do 9 to 6. So we do try and add as many hours as we can for the fact that we are closed for some of the holidays as well. So, and we're opening up on Monday the 30th, which generally the recycling center is not open on Monday. So we really do try and help the community in that way as well. So those are our hours for those days and dates. And then we'll be in 2025. It's crazy to even think about. And I think that's it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Legal report?
Yes, sir, I will try not to be lawyerly. It makes some sense. Sir, I do not have a legal report, but I do have a request. As you know, our lease is up in April 3, 2025. And I'm told that we're going to be cutting it close, but it is our intent, no matter what, Jesse may be operating out of the van or something, that we will be out. Because you may also recall that our lease rate was up significantly in Texas. So I was going to see if you would grant me permission to perhaps notify the landlord that it is our intent to vacate the lease as of April 30th, 2025. If the lease agreement does have a required notification provision, but I think A, it's a common courtesy to do it. B, you don't want to get subject to an argument that you're holding over on a month-to-month basis, particularly since they have escalation clause for that. So my specific request is to ask for approval to so notify the landlord of their intent to vacate.
And if you're not able to occupy the new space, what are you gonna do?
We have talked about,
Furniture and fixtures and equipment?
we will be out somewhere, whether it be like in a storage facility or something. Our staff is flexible. 2 people, we can do that. But I know Les and Jesse have talked about that. Yeah.
Not anymore.
Our reality is the concrete is one of the first things to obviously go in, right? And so our baler and those type of things can probably be placed in, and there's very little equipment beyond that would need to sit. So, but I have been guaranteed that we will be moving at that time. So I'm living in my sunshine and butterflies and roses and unicorns world, that is going to be the case.
But they did provide us a timeline. Commissioner Walls did indicate to me at one point, in direct response, that given weather, we may not have maybe gravel driveway, not a concrete in a few days, but we will have enough under the building that we can move our things, vacate. Maybe
And
operating.
close for something.
Yes. Now, the reality is, do I see that us being up and running on May 1st? No, but we already knew that because of the asphalt and the different things. But I would imagine that May 15th, yes. I mean, we'll, be completely like drive through, be ready, be available, because we will be moving up until those last days. We've already discussed as staff, all hands on deck, their vacation. So, that's what's going to happen. So,
Yeah, and the lease agreement does give the landlord an opportunity to show the premises if necessary, when reasonable, contact with Jesse. And so I just wanted to maybe get that started.
I believe he actually already has it rented to one of his
I do too.
clients.
I do too. Just loosen up.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we'll take that in the form of a motion, we have a motion to approve to allow council to move by to do the vacation. So moved. Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you, sir. I have a
Very much. Old business. Harrison Building Update.
I just filled Wes in. I have a little video that I want to show you guys really quickly before he starts his updates. So this is part of the marketing that we've been doing and of course capturing what's been going on.
I really want to run that big machine, but they won't let me.
That might be entertaining.
For the dogs.
But go back.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of parking.
Assuming we have to do on-site retention,
Right
how
there.
big is that?
Yeah.
Big is it?
Um,
5 acre?
yeah, it's not very big, but it's deep. So we didn't have a whole lot of footprint to work with. Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, I'm going to show it on the we just know it. So, yeah.
That's good. So, yeah. And my name is Wes Harrison. I'm a project manager for the county. And the video kind of explains a lot of what I was going to talk about. Basically, what we've done is they are under construction now. The whole schedule is kind of arranged around when the building, which is a Bridger building, is delivered on site. And it's scheduled to be delivered first week of December. So backing up, now they're working on site utilities and putting the foundations into the building. Building should be up by the end of the year, so we'll be able to see the shape of it, have the siding going up on the sides, and then have temporary heat in there, floorboard, and there's not a lot of interior finish. So right now we're scheduled to be complete with the interior of the building by April 20th. We'll be ready to move in that week. Gives us about 10 days to get out of the building we're in now. Jesse and I had general conversations about how to get some of the bigger equipment moved over. We'll get equipment movers to take care of that. and had conversations with the contractor to make sure we got someplace to put those pads ordered, ready to receive the equipment over there. But we had good conversations. We met a couple times with the neighbors, the dog people, and they're very welcoming, and they've been great so far. Now, we haven't made a huge mud mess yet, which that'll be this week and next week, but they're looking forward to having us as neighbors. They're appreciative of what we're doing. We're expanding the entrance, so that helps them as well. We've had the power pole move, which was a surprise for Duke Energy, because usually we'd be waiting on them, but they got in and out, did their work, which was great. So one thing that Jesse and I, the group, talked about last week at our every other week meeting was we've got signage on the building, and then we're going to have a road sign. We're still trying to get approval for that, but we've got in the bid conduit to go out and operate a sign out towards the road. And what we wanted to present to you was what we want it to say. What do we want that signage to say? And we've gone back and forth, 2 or 3 ideas, but we'll present to you that it would say one line, Johnson County, below that, recycle center. Yes. And we've talked about recycling center, recycle center, recycling district. There's a lot of little things in that probably don't make a whole lot of difference to the people that use the facility, but we want to be consistent in what our message is. So, you have an opinion.
Well, I think it makes sense if you want to say Johnson County Recycling Center, but you might have to put a little disclaimer down at the bottom, Johnson County Recycling District. Something to that, I mean, it's still I think that's legal name of it, right?
Right. I think the question is, if we end up with a sign on the road, which hopefully we do you want Johnson County Recycle Center and then Johnson County Recycling District for the sign on the road? So it's actually the Recycle Center, and we are, of course, the Recycling District. Or do you want both to say Johnson County Recycling District?
Oh, so you're gonna have one on the building, like it's the center.
Like it's the same. I mean, that's the way I see it, but I don't want to make that assumption. So, and
Well, for the sake of uniformity, I just have them both say center, and like I said, just like they don't political signs, you got that little thing down at the bottom, and then you just say Johnson County Recycling District.
Have you checked with our sign regulations?
well, that's what. Yeah.
We're working.
Well, yes.
That way you maintain the formal name or the whatever. And then you have, because the center, using the word center, I think is good, because now they know that's
Where are we?
where the activity's taking
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
And then basically the recycling district would just
Yeah.
say what
I'm
money.
thinking, we change your sign size much. Anyway,
But if you can't see it, what's the point?
Huh?
But if you can't see it, what's the point?
well,
Yes, well, you can't sit on a political sign either.
Right.
It says,
Right, but you usually don't have 2 signs. You don't have one that's the center and then one that says.
I thought you were talking about one on the bill.
You talk about one on the building and one out front.
Yeah.
So I'm saying if we had one in front that said Johnson County Recycling District,
Then they'll know that that's the center.
that's the center, and we are the full
Is
district.
that what you prefer?
Yeah, yes. I mean, I like the recycling, I like it to say center because I very much think that people need to understand that that's, you know,
On the building.
yeah.
That indicates where the activity's taking.
Right, exactly.
In the district.
so you're talking basically 2 separate signs.
Right.
One on the road that says district, one on. the-
Right,
So it's the
exactly.
center. Okay.
Yeah, that's what you like.
What we'll do. Thank you.
My only suggestion is that when you run the conduit, run it a little bigger than you would, in case you want to put another cable out there for a camera or whatever. If you have
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's good advice. We try to do that in all these signs, because you're right. Whatever you put out there, you always want one.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then, I didn't really get a chance to say this offline to you, but so it's not you per se, but surprise. So, you know, Lynn and Pat have been a part of everything we've done since gosh knows, for me, certainly the entire time. But, Lynn, how long have you been here?
You know, it's possible to say since I'm only in my 30s.
Yes, yes. And I believe Pat too has been here from the beginning. So I really feel that they've both been such advocates for the district and what we do. And I understand that we put the plaque in the entrance, but there was conversation about possibly looking at naming, you know, the education center. And I really do feel that both Lynn and Pat have certainly, you know, been a huge promoter of the district and all the support and all the things that they have done for us in trying to get this built. And I will say, you know, Pat especially, he started those funds, you know, way back in the day. So I'd really like to think about that as we move forward and we're talking about some of the naming and some of the placards.
That would put in place a gratis effort forward for those people.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know you were going to say that, Jessica. Thank you for saying it. I'm a staunch believer that you don't make things for people when they're still alive. Because you don't know what silly things we people do. However, if you do recall, at some point we were making reference to Glenville Way, because remember they reduced the sale price. I don't know what it was, if we made some reference in something, and thanks for the support, Glenville family. You know, usually they do the plaque, right, with all you guys' name on it, on the entryway, and then the Glenville thing, so
That's how this whole conversation got
Yeah.
started.
we did make commitments.
Well, we could do that, but I'm sure you have somebody in this family that's deceased.
Well, he is citizen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, Fred is, that's what I say. But you know, well, just like you did here on the entryway, when you had the courthouse annex dedicated on this date, whatever it was, and you put the commissioners were there and your council member, and each just a little small plaque, but it's not that big of a deal to do something like that.
Whatever we want to do, I just want to make sure, because I'm getting questions about it. So whatever information you would like.
I think we walk in here, don't we? We walk by a little plaque that says we opened this center.
Yeah.
And they put one down at the health department that I fought tooth and nail.
Not to do, but you
Not-
can.
Yes, well, I'm being told that we will have one at this facility as well.
I'm one of those people, I agree with Lynn, when you're dead and gone, that's not such a bad idea like we did with the detention center.
With Roy.
With Roy. But I think as long as you're alive, you set yourself up for possibly failure there with something. Read the newspaper here shortly about our Democratic leader, Senate.
Well, I did say on the record that if I die before this happens, please make sure that my ashes get put by a tree and in that plaque.
But you know, usually it's not much
So
more
like
back.
every building, we.
You put the little plaque. Yeah,
Plaque on it.
Who did it?
Yeah.
you approved it, and that's usually not
And they've
cost
been
much
doing
more
that
back.
since.
That
But
usually
in-
is.
on that plaque, you can also list those names of the people that.
That's what I was going to say, is I would like to include, because they've been here certainly for many years. And, you know, Pat has been a part of all that we have done and such a huge promoter for us.
I think that would be something that's feasible.
I think we'll just expect Lynn to be on better behavior going forward.
Yeah. Her lawyerly self.
It's actually harmless, right?
Sometimes it's not true. That's the problem. Sometimes it's not true, but you get in with it anyway.
I always said 60's to 40, but 9 to midnight. I can't get in a lot of trouble.
I get it.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
New business, next meeting is January 13th, 2025.
So moved, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those- We're adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.